Hello, everyone, and welcome to Auto Asphyxiation D10 because we are talking about politics and space in a weird way today. This is Lark.
And Kimberly.
Yes, and we have some kind of we have an issue going on in New Jersey right now. Republican representative, we do have those here, who is facing a tough reelection fight is missing. He's nowhere to be found.
He's nowhere to be found.
Rep-
He's the representative for the 7th Congressional District. He's been there since 2013. And he's right at the cusp of like northern and central, which is imaginary, New Jersey.
yeah, I'm always kind of like, what do you mean? I'm like, all New Jersey's the size of LA. What are you talking about, North Jersey? And then you like three Central Jersey. Anyway, okay, we won't have that conversation. That's a different conversation. Um, but apparently the last time he voted was on March 5th, and it is April 26th. As of this recording, he is still missing. The other two Republicans, Jeff, have been like they tried to call him and text him, and he's like not responding. Politically,
I think they called it radio silence.
yeah, yeah. Apparently, that's a term they keep using. Radio silence, and I'm like, do the kids even know what that means anymore? We used to have radios before the internet, and it would be like, oh, at night it would turn off. Um,
And so would the TV.
Yes. Oh, yeah, it would. And for people out there in the outside of New Jersey, they say Kean is pronounced Kane.
Yes.
I know people are like, what? Like, don't no, we don't know that. The rest of the world says Keen, but it's Kane out here. And then Bacon, I guess one of the representatives, one of the Congress people were like, I was looking for him and I didn't know it was that long. So 50
Well, I
and
mean, to be fair, there is a lot going on in the
there
government
is a
right
lot going
now.
on, but you know what? Before this even happened, this is a thing that he does. Like I looked before, like apparently he doesn't hold town halls, he doesn't do one-on-ones. Apparently, was his dad like the governor or something? Like he's just like, I don't gotta do crap. I don't have to answer you. He's like that friend that like pops into your life every 2 years or every 10 years. But the thing is that he's your rep.
Yes, he's been actually recommended by the GOP to not hold in-person town halls for his safety because his constituents are very angry with him because he hasn't had any kind of a town hall in over a year. And the last town hall that he had was a phone-in town hall.
I guess he had to have people like back up and be his friend, like make sure, I feel like that was probably staged or like say this, say that, say this. I'm just kind of like, in my own head though, it's very interesting who gets to disappear. Can you imagine if MacGyver disappeared?
There would be holy hellfire.
Mahia, what if she just stopped showing up? Like she just
Yeah,
disappeared. She won and just disappeared, and we didn't see her for like a month. What would happen?
there would be an inquiry, such an inquiry. There would be so much nonsense going on. It just, it's yes, certain people get to disappear, certain people do not. Like, if you or I disappeared, we'd lose our jobs.
Exactly. And people be like, well, what the hell? And I think it's just really interesting. It's just very kind of like, oh, it's kind of funny, right? People are making jokes. But it's very interesting to me when certain kind of people who are like, wealthy people of status, people who are men, people who are white, people who are white, who are men who have money, who are Congress people, when they disappear, when certain things happen, everybody's like it's funny, it's like funny, it's like even like what like it's kind of like if dad doesn't come home, it's kind of some for some people it's funny, but if mom didn't show up she'd be in jail for child endangerment. Like it's very interesting who can like disappear and who can't disappear, and just even how this is all framed, like it's very kind of like it's more like it's funny, like a lot of jokes. Oh, it's jokey time. It's no joke that he's gone.
Even I'm laughing at it, but it's more of a sardonic laugh because it's not funny. There's a lot of shit going on right now in the government, and our Congress people need to show up to work. He's missed over 50 votes. Like
That's
that's just, like I don't know, like in the real world, like, that's a no call, no show.
that means you're fired. Like if
Yeah.
you missed 50 votes and you've been gone since March 5th, but people would be like, hey, what does it mean when it's kind of like you're not there? And also the thing that's interesting to me is like this is a crucial time. If he's sick, if something's wrong, he needs to step down. And that's the whole thing. They like apparently like I guess he that area District 7 essentially I guess narrowly went to Trump. But Mike and Sherelle got that district because they're just done. They're like, you know what, we're done.
Well,
And
and
so
that's why he won't hold town halls because his constituents are done and they're very angry with him. There's constant protests outside of his office, I think in Bernardsville, like because his constituents are very, very angry with him.
I mean, it's like there should be some kind of process that you could make so that you could get rid of a person that is doing this. So just kind of like not representing you, not being part of, not doing what they're supposed to be doing. This is to me, it's very interesting, like this game that they're playing. And I think about Ruth Ginsburg, and I remember saying when she was sick, okay, this is really kind of unethical, but I was like, just why don't we just pretend like keep her alive until like we could all, pretend. And people just kind of like, that's wrong. You can't
Like,
do that. I'm like, but this is an emergency. We need to pretend like we could just whatever. Anyway, is that what's happening with this dude? Like, are they actually doing a weekend at Bernie's, weekend at Kane's? He's
well, and
actually
that's the
not
thing is that
alive.
he's also bought and sold stocks during this period of time. And one of his aides stated that that's because all of his like stock portfolio is like automated and it has a digital signature. But that's still really sketchy. If none of his colleagues can hear from him, he's not returning text messages or phone calls. And he's not the only congressperson that's disappeared. In December of 2024, Kay Granger was a Texas congresswoman. She disappeared for a month. They found her living in an assisted living facility. And after they found her living in essentially memory care, a lot of her staff spoke up and said, yeah, like she was, there was a definitive cognitive decline going on with her. So this is not the first time that something shady like this has happened, and nobody knows. Like, at least be transparent if you're in the hospital or something like that. Like, I am not a fan of John Fetterman because of his complete turnaround. But Fetterman was in the hospital for a while for depression, and he was open and transparent about it. Like he was determined to like get better and come back and do his job. Like he was very transparent about it, and he was still working while he was in the hospital. Like I think at the very least, Tom Kean Jr. owes his constituents transparency. What's going on with him?
Well, not only does he own his constituents, he owes the state of New Jersey. We're in a crucial time. And if he can't do his job and he needs to step down, there needs to be a special election. And I think that the reason why this is a problem for me, I feel, is because they know if he goes up for election, he's going to lose against, or not him, whoever is out. The next person is going to be in that district is going to, that district's going to turn blue, and they don't want to lose another person. So it's duplicitous how they're doing this. It's like it's like, okay, how long can we play this game? And it should be some situation where I don't know what the process is, but he needs to be removed at this point. It's like, and
Yes.
that's another thing too. They're like, oh, we can't talk bad about him because he's ill. Okay, well, he's ill. Then say he's sick. Say what's wrong with him. This I went to a bicycle, not bicycle, urban conference this weekend, and they brought up Kane, and they were like, well, I don't really want to say anything because maybe something's wrong. What do you mean you don't want to say anything?
If if something's wrong, the citizens of New Jersey should know something is wrong so that he can step down and we can have a special election and we can get somebody who's going to show up to do their job in Congress.
Yeah, and I, we are a show that talks about, we have commentary, we have criticisms, critiques. We're nonpartisan, but the people who have the resources, why are they not digging on this? I mean, I get it. There's a lot of stuff going on, but we have NewJersey.com. You don't have a investigative branch there. New York Times. You don't have an investigative branch there. What is going on? Why isn't anybody researching it? Why is it just a bunch of okay, like I said, week 2, okay, maybe it's funny. A month, okay, it's now going on 2 months.
Yeah.
And he has just been gone and no one seems to care. And no one seems to be like, okay, well, we need to do something. And it's just like, this is a system. This is not a system. It's not an automatic pilot. In a way, it's kind of interesting because if this was a senator, it would be better because the senators aren't as close in some ways to the political process as the Congress people who actually are funding things, creating deciding what is funded, all this stuff. I mean, that's the thing. Congress has a lot of power because it is every 2 years. It is supposed to be you're supposed to be really close to the people. You're supposed to be connected. So the fact that he's able to get away with this as a congressperson, as a senator, I almost feel like, okay, you should be able to get away with a little bit more because it's just you're a little bit farther away from the people. But how does this happen? And when is he? I should have looked up when is he up for election? Because
I think he's up for reelection. I think he's up for reelection this year. Let me look it up real quick.
yeah, yeah.
But him, the Kay Granger situation, John Fetterman, when our elected constituents fail to answer, when our elected officials fail to answer to their constituents, we have to have a way to essentially fire them. Like there's not enough of a way for the people to say, people in the 7th congressional district are very unhappy with Tom Kean Jr. And they should be able to, as the people that elected him into power, they should be able to remove him from power through a similar process.
And I was just watching a video of him and they were asking questions. They were like with him, before he disappeared. They're like, how do you feel about, immigrants being taken away? How do you feel about essentially supporting the president? And he just didn't even respond. I feel that there needs to be some kind of, I don't know, mandatory that you at least respond, or have a written response when things like this happen. There is something very interesting because there seems to be this double standard of who can disappear and who can't disappear. And also too is a disrespect to the people who are in his district, for him to not answer to, but you know what? In the same token, you guys elected him. You know who he was. You elected him several times. Hasn't he been he's been so it's this whole oh well.
He's been in Congress since 2013 and he is up for re-election this November.
Yeah, so you know who it is. So I hope they make a better decision this time. I think they are going to make a good decision and actually remove him from office. But this is you need to know who you elect to office. You have a responsibility. You can't a lot of times the term identity politics gets thrown around historically in neighborhoods where people are, or districts where historically excluded people live. But we don't talk about identity politics in districts like a suburban New Jersey, where it's kind of like, oh, his dad was a governor. He's from the neighborhood. So we just, we essentially don't have any requirements from him except for he's one of us. And that, we don't chalk that up to being, oh, well, that's because they're low information voters. Because,
no.
If this was District 10, where LaMonica was, and she was doing all kinds of shady stuff, not showing up, there would be this talk of, oh, her low information voters, identity politics. That it wouldn't be the joke. It wouldn't be the joke that is about this person. The joke would be disparaging the people who voted for her. Oh, they
Yes.
don't care. Those people don't care. Well, but with this one, it's very much like, oh, it's kind of funny, and oh, it's too bad that these people, they're not calling them ignorant, but they shouldn't call anybody that. But I'm saying, if this was in District 10, this would be the narrative that would be being spun by the press. Even the New Republic, even though it's progressive, even though it's liberal in regards to social sense, they would still be kind of like, oh, poo-pooing the people who elected him. This person has been in office for a while. He's been acting this way the entire time he was there, and now that what people call fascism has come. Now they're like, oh, we're angry. Well, you should have been angry 10 years ago. You should have been angry 10 years ago when he was doing all the things he was doing. But now you're like, oh yeah, so I guess we shouldn't just vote for somebody who's our friend. We should vote for somebody who actually cares about their job, and so
who's
we
actually qualified.
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. I mean, yeah, we don't hold District 7. We don't hold suburbia as accountable. Cultural suburbia. We don't hold cultural suburbia as accountable as we do urban America. We don't hold cultural suburbia accountable when they do things like, oh, let's team up and get cameras, and we can trace everybody, and then we could get flock, and we could have that computerized, so we can do surveillance. And now they're like, oh no, they're using that to track us now. This they essentially tricked suburbia all the time, with, oh, people from Newark will be here, so we need to make sure. And then when it bites them in the ass, they always act brand new. Oh, I can't believe this is happening to me.
And they're the ones that signed up for it. They're the
Exactly.
ones
You
that signed
signed
up
up for
for
this
it.
game.
They're the ones that, it's cultural suburbia that is the ones that was all over the Ring cameras, when they first came out. It's cultural suburbia that's like, yes, we want stoplight cameras, we want these kind of cameras, we want this, we'll sign on for flock. It's it's always them. And they're always caught off guard when it's like, I've been saying since I first saw the Elf on the Shelf thing that they are preparing children for a surveillance state. I know that sounds really weird and out there, but
No,
I
it's true,
really think
because
that's what it is.
we see how we see how the right is so very concerned about what children are reading, who's visit. So I think it's just something people don't really think about. They don't realize that people are being indoctrinated. The Elf on the Shelf, your whole take on that's actually very I feel like it's very close to what is happening. Getting you used to it was very interesting. Today I went um grocery shopping, and they have the scouts, and the scouts have this list, which is different than the Girl Scouts. It's a Boy Scouts, but they are kind of making it gender inclusive, so now they call it the Scouts. I don't really like their uniforms, but one thing I thought was really great was when we went to the grocery store, they had the thing, and they said, oh, buy something for, here's a list of stuff for people who need food. And they had cans, they had all this food. So it's they're not asking for money, not asking for donations. And then you go and when you buy something, you put it in the little bag, and when you come out, you give it in the bag. And I was like, I really like this better than the whole cookie thing. And I was thinking about my whole, competing for cookies, and that kind of neoliberal thing of the Girl Scouts, even though the Girl Scouts technically are more progressive than the Scouts in regards to certain things, but in certain ways they are not. And trying to think about how I brought this up in my whole entire point. um, I think that we don't really question what happens when we're comfortable in suburbia. We don't question what we are creating. We don't question this. And I don't think they questioned the fact that this is a person that does not seem to be concerned about their job. and what happens in DC doesn't really matter because I'm in suburbia and my life is fine. I don't really care about my congressperson. He's our friend, so we'll vote for him. And I think that this apathy, I think that that's going to stop. I think now that's going to stop. But the same, oh, we need to give people information. We need to have provide people with knowledge. I think that same thing that they do in um culturally urban America should happen in culturally suburban America. They clearly need in in suburbia, where I live, they clearly need a civic education. They clearly don't know how the government works, who has power, um, how it impacts them. That, like, I don't think it's like, a lot of times people kind of just go like, oh yeah, just because people, they don't have education and they don't know blah blah blah, it's because of the education gap, test score gap. But really, if you see what is going on in regards to not just education, but yeah, education, it's impacting everyone. It's not one group of people specifically doesn't know, because we see like your example in Texas, which is your favorite example because you always bring her up. You're like, she was in memory care. How was that a thing?
I
How
did
is
this.
she there?
To find out that her staff was aware that she was experiencing a cognitive decline and nobody said anything is just
No, it is. It is very. I think in New Jersey, and this even goes for this whole. I want to call it almost like this weird monarchy situation where it's kind of like, oh, things get passed down from son to father or father to son.
there is that
And
definitely.
whether it's politicians, whether it's a job, whether it's whatever. And we can't keep doing this. Just because somebody has been there and somebody's dad did something doesn't mean they're going to do a good job. Just because someone happens to live somewhere for a very long time, or, oh, well, I grew up with that person, doesn't mean they're the best person for the job. And also, we need to have media that holds these people accountable. We can't have two standards, one for suburbia, one for urban America, or one for rural America and one for metro America. The standards need to be held the same, and also across gender, across culture, across socioeconomic class. The same way you would hold MacGyver accountable, Mejia accountable, you have to hold, and this even goes to New Jersey and the senators. And I know, rightfully so, people have issues with Booker. But what I thought was really, really interesting is that Menendez never got any smoke at all.
No,
That was
And
wild as hell.
Menendez held office for so long. He was in power for a really long time, and he was always known as being corrupt. It was like a joke. It
Yeah,
was like
exactly. Why is and the thing is that, just kind of like, so you guys know, outside of our out of New Jersey, he's kind of culturally white. I know his name is Menendez, and so when you're in LA, you're thinking, oh, like Latino, but he was culturally white in New Jersey. That it was kind of how he was viewed, and essentially he was able to just, and it was funny. Why is it funny in New Jersey when white men do bad things? Why is it always viewed as a, oh, haha, funny, not like a serious thing? No one gets mad. It's just kind of
I
like, well,
wonder
it's New Jersey. It's corrupt. That's just how it is.
I wonder if I think it has to do with how long like New Jersey was known as being corrupt, how long New Jersey was known as being like a mafia state. Like I think that all of that has to do with it. Why we just have a tendency to like laugh rather than be like, hey, that's fucked up and somebody should do something about it. Maybe an investigative reporter should look into this.
Yeah, I'm keep wondering that, they keep, it's so funny because in these media, nonprofit media, they're like, we have money for investigative reporting. And you're kind of like, well, how much is it? $2,000. Like, what year are you in? Like, no one. What kind of investigative reporting do you want people to do for $2,000? Like, like
That's
I
not even rent.
you clearly don't want anybody doing investigative reporting in New Jersey. If the grants you're giving out is like, we have $2,000 for somebody to do investigative report, to do investigate what? Why McDonald's ice cream machines or shake machines don't work? Because that's literally the only kind of investigative reporting is going to be done at that point. Like, this is a joke. That's the thing. All of this stuff, everything in New Jersey, it seems to be a joke. Like, you ask questions. Like, remember, like I are just so you know, Kimberly, I have a FOIL and Oprah, I would say Oprah report, open records report for our meetings in regards to the congestion pricing. So I'm
Nice.
still waiting for them. We're gonna do an update on them because I at the conference I had a chat with people and they're like, oh yeah, we had 2 meetings and it seemed like they'd already decided where the money was going. It was
Isn't that
kind of like, you guys
interesting?
like this idea that we've already decided. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So we'll be giving an update on that. And that's the whole thing. It's all very funny. Ha ha ha. We all very funny. It's not funny. I want you guys to know, I mean, we're laughing now, but the only laughing you folks will be doing is when we do our stories and we bust it open. And just like when I was in LA, Rod Wright thought it was funny because he wasn't living in the district. I was like, you don't live here, and I like actually followed him to like where he lived, like his house, and I took pictures. And you know,
It's
Rod
so
Wright
very
went to,
Lois Lane of you.
it was he went to jail behind that. I told him, I said,
Fucking good for you.
I thought he was like, ah ha ha ha, you just a little funny girl reporter. And I was like, eh. And we went to jail. I was like, how funny is it now, man? Is it funny now? Is it funny? Ha ha now. And that's kind of a warning to New Jersey. Like, yeah, we know we look like riot girls. Don't underestimate us. We're petty.
Don't ever underestimate Riot Girls.
That's right. We're not even petty. I'm not even about to say not even petty. It's just like we want justice, and that's how we're gonna get justice because we can't take you to the mosh pit and stomp on you. Anyway,
Not anymore.
not anymore. We're old. Anyway, and with that, do you have anything else to say, Kimberly?
I think that we covered it really well. I think that this really needs to be looked into at a deeper level, and the people of New Jersey deserve to know what's going on with their congressperson.
Yeah, because this is like, I know people are kind of making it like a joke. He's gone, but it's not a joke. We need every single person on the floor, and we need that area to be against fascism. Not Democrat, not Republican, but for New Jersey. We
Yes.
need for New Jersey, all of New Jersey, to support the continued existence of the United States. And you're like, oh, what? Yeah, the continued existence of the United States. I'm a 14th generation American. And so while other people might think this whole country is a joke and all this stuff, I don't think it's a joke. So it is bothering me deeply inside the fact that all of these people are so incompetent, don't do their job, and actually are just trying to run a bust out of this country. And that is not going to just happen. We're not going to just roll over and let that happen without at least documenting what you're doing. And with that, remember, Spotify, YouTube, Substack, our various in-person events. We appreciate you, and that's it.
Thanks for listening.